Hello Advanced Higher Historians, and welcome to our last lesson on our Stalin area of our topic and our last lesson in our Advanced Higher Russia topic. This one is looking at Stalin's final years between 1945 and 1953. This is going to be quite a you go away and do from the textbook lesson, with a couple of things to watch just to kind of summarise the topic and our thoughts on Stalin in general. So learning intentions, we're looking at the final years of Stalin's regime, for Stalin in power for the last time. Success criteria is that you've explored the end of Stalin's regime, and we're going to be using the textbook for this lesson, which is the Corn and Fine textbook, and it's from pages 364 to 86. So overview wise, as we know, suffering in Russia has been unimaginable. There has been a massive loss of life, massive loss of material damages and things like that as a result of the war, and the final years of Stalin's rule were taken up with reconstruction of his country. To achieve this, he returned to the centrally planned economy of the 1930s so that he could manage industry and agriculture. He also returned to pre-war methods of control, despite the desire of Soviet citizens for a more relaxed and humane society, because he felt he needed this to push the country on. He mounted a campaign of Russian nationalism and anti-Westernism to prevent the USSR being what he saw as contaminated by democratic ideas from the West, such as this more humane society idea. And this was combined with a drive for ideological and cultural purity to bring the intelligentsia into line and push the USSR towards what he referred to as a communist utopia. Stalin remained supreme leader of the one-party state and manipulated the main contender for leadership to ensure that he stayed in power and achieved the outcomes that he wanted until his death in 1953. So, again, a lot of this lesson is literally going to be you guys going away and using the textbook to help you under the following headings and completing the tasks. So, heading, tightening, control, you're going to be using section A, which is pages 365 to 367, to complete the tasks in the focus group boxes and the activity that is on page 366. Once you've done that, move on to the next task on the next slide. This one's about post-war reconstruction. You're going to be using section B from the textbook, which is pages 368 to 369, and you're going to complete the focus group box on that page. What I want you to think about while you're doing this is how effective were Stalin's policies reconstructing Russia after the war had ended. Do you think they were actually useful or not? And feel free if you want to put a wee comment about that in the random class conversation channel on the team, just to kind of give your opinion, and we can chat about that in more detail. So complete that task and then move on to the next slide for the next task. Section C then, you can kind of see where this lesson is going. This is about Stalin and the party. All I want you to do here is read the information, and I want you to kind of think about this question as you're doing so. How dangerous do you think Stalin actually was in his final years? Was he any more or less dangerous than he had been during the Great Turn, during collectivization and the purges? Is he more dangerous now compared to how he was before the Great Patriotic War, or has he kind of mellowed out a little bit? Okay, this one is about the end of Stalin, and we've got some information for you there. You're going to use section D of the textbook and complete the activity box that is there, and we've got a video clip that we're going to come back to that I'll put up in the team for you to watch as well for that one. How can we explain Stalinism? Section E of the textbook, complete the focus group box that is there. Question then in section F, was Stalinism Lenin's baby? Complete the activity box using the sources on these pages, and then you're going to complete the focus root box on page 380 using the other information that's there as well. Then we get to section G, assessing Stalin. Complete the activity box at the end of that chapter. Think about this question: what do you actually make of Stalin now? Has your opinion on him changed from the start of the topic to this point? do you think any differently of him? Stalin the Red Tsar. Now this is kind of a final chapter. You're going to read that and think about this question. How far is the statement Stalin was simply another Nicholas, he was simply a Red Tsar, actually accurate? And for this one, I just want you to put a note in the team and decide what you think about that. How far was the statement Stalin was simply a Red Tsar accurate? Then what we want to do is draw a sort of mind map or a table of the main similarities of the Tsarist and Stalinist state. So you can split this in two sections. What are the similarities between the Tsar and Stalin to help you answer that? Then we're going to watch this clip and consider the implications if Stalin had never come to power. What would that kind of look like now? And just a general summary. So the loss of life, up to 27 million Soviet citizens, physical damage done to the USSR during the war was on an unimaginable scale. Stalin returned to pre-war methods of control despite the desire for a more relaxed society. Prisoners of war and Soviet citizens who had been trapped in the occupied areas were treated quite harshly. Many were sent to the gulags or executed. Stalin mounted a campaign of nationalism and anti-westernized sort of focus to help unite society and prevent the Soviet Union from being contaminated by any democratic ideas. There was a drive for ideological and cultural purity, like we've said, which basically included a clampdown on the arts and the sciences to ensure that. Stalin returns to the centrally planned economy and the 5-year plans with an emphasis on heavy industry and armaments. Industrial recovery and growth was actually fairly impressive at this point. The agricultural sector remained the weakest part of Soviet economy. Stalin's position as the all-powerful leader of the one-party state was strengthened by the war, and he used the same manipulative politics to maintain his grip on power and control contenders for leadership so that he stayed in power. The period from 1945 to 1953 we call the period of high Stalinism, and historians have put forward a number of explanations of why this actually developed, which you can think about. They do debate the extent to which the Stalinist state was built on Leninist foundations. So was it Lenin's baby? There kind of is a bit of a debate about that. Some believe that there's a really clear break between Lenin and Stalin. Others argue that there's actually a really clear line between the two, and you can see how the both of them are connected. Any assessment we do of Stalin must acknowledge that he drove the programme of industrialisation that modernised the USSR and enabled it to defeat Germany during the Second World War. However, a terrible price was paid for this, which is in the form of some 20 million people's deaths, and a society that pretty much becomes poisoned by fear and terror for generations to come. So, video clip to kind of finish this off. From the series The Most Evil Men and Women in History, episode 8 we're looking at, which is from 2002. I'll put the link in the team and also add it to the playlist on the YouTube channel for you to watch to finish off the topic. And essentially, guys, that's it. That's the end. So well done. In our live lesson this week, we're going to chat about, obviously, Stalinism in a wee bit more detail. But that's over to you now to complete these tasks. If you have any questions or anything you're not sure about, let me know by email or in the team and let me know how you're getting on.